People love him already. He's got the Rhode Island twang.
The long pass to Moore and a pin block from Martin.
Tune in to Cam's Corner.
He's going to make it here.
Draws the foul for another Rhode Island and one.
Podcast
His own podcast.
It's good off the backboard and in. On a break.
And we are back, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Cam's Corner, Season 3, Episode 16, Episode 84 overall, still on that pathway to 100. But today, joining me, the most interesting man in college basketball, as the Big Ten describes him, 6'8" senior from Bayshore, New York, of the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's Zed Key. Zed, thanks again for joining me. I know, like I said at the beginning, before we started, right in the middle of the season, but thank you for taking the time and throughout your busy schedule.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Definitely, thank you for having me.
For sure. And like I said, so you're from New York. I want to shout out Reed Feldman, former soccer player for Stonehill. You know, you grew up at Reed in New York. He made this episode happen. So just talk about basketball for you growing up and what it was like in Bayshore.
I mean, I always, I was always the biggest one playing basketball, especially at the younger age. So, that kind of, people are like, yeah, you're a 6'8" center. I know, because, from a younger age, I was always down low, playing in the post, because I was always the tallest one. So, even when I played with, on the team with Reed, on Fury, I was still center because I was still the biggest one, So, I learned post moves from my parents in the kitchen, with the little tiles, I learned how to get my footwork from there. And, it's just grown ever since, I've gotten better every year. And, I went from Long Island Lightning to, I was just trying to think, Long Island Lightning to New York Jayhawks. Got some offers, the rest is history. So, just grateful to say the least.
Yeah, and again, thank you to Reed for making this happen. I mean, he's a big guy. I didn't know he was a basketball player, but
yeah, he was. That was his past life.
Yeah,
that was back in the day.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. And doing some research, I'm happy to see you were a Knicks fan growing up, big Carmelo Anthony guy.
I still am, but
Yeah. I should have wore something because all my friends watching this, I'm a huge Knicks fan. I'm from Rhode Island, but I grew up, Carmelo was my favorite player.
Yeah.
Grew up a Knicks fan. Also saw that you're a big Tobias Harris guy. That's someone that you modeled your game after.
Yeah.
So just talk about him. Talk about why you gravitated towards learning from Tobias and about his game.
I mean, he's a Long Island guy. He's a really good person. He's down to earth, and he's a really good mentor. He's in the NBA. That's the ultimate goal. So lean on him and ask him questions whenever it's needed.
Oh, so you have like a personal connection with Tobias?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So when you growing up, did you kind of learn focus on like his skill set and try to kind of model your game after that as well?
I mean, I watched him in high school. He's obviously a little bit older than me, but I got to see some games. I've watched him in college, when he went to school, Tennessee. Right?
Honestly, I don't know.
So I want to say, yes, I'm 100%. I'm looking at it right now. Just to make sure.
Yeah. No, but that's
Tennessee.
absolutely.
All right. I know. Yeah, it's Tennessee. But yeah, just watching him, he's a really good player, and just trying to model the stuff that he does, because it got him to where he's at now.
Yeah. Do you have any memories of working out with him and him kind of teaching you stuff, or was it kind of just watching him from afar and kind of learning from him that way?
I worked out with him, and he said, "Look, you're not going hard enough, or this is what you want to do." So he's definitely giving me some tips, just to get better.
Awesome. And obviously for you yourself, having Ohio State on your radar in high school, it just speaks volumes to the player that you were at such a young age. Once you entered high school, when did you see that improvement, like that big jump where you realized that you can take basketball to the next level at D1 in college?
I think it was at the NBPA Top 100 camp. I wasn't always highly ranked. I always didn't have Ohio State, all these big offers in high school. So I went to the camp. It was in Virginia, at University of Virginia, and I balled out. There's obviously a lot of colleges there. Every college was there. This was the only live period event that was going on. So every college was there. And I played well, and the whole camp and Ohio State saw me. And they started contacting me. I was actually really excited because I was like, oh my God, Coach Holtman called me. But they were my only official visit too. Like I only took one official and it was here, and I said, yeah, this is absolutely the place. So
Yeah, and high school progresses again. Like you said, you weren't like highly recruited until that NBA top 100 camp. But
yeah.
then a lot of websites, a lot of sources were having you at like a 3 or 4 star. Some even said like one of the top 5 players in the state of New York. So like like I saw like Ball is Life's following you around to all these tournaments, and like what did that exposure mean to you? I mean, you're still like a high school kid. You're going to a Big Ten school in Ohio State. You weren't fully committed yet, but all this exposure, what did that mean to you at the high school level?
I mean, it was a lot at first because it was new, but you start to you get used to it. It's sorry, just got to yeah. It's someone you get used to it, and just because in basketball, everyone knows who you are, especially if you play like at a school at like Ohio State and stuff like that. So you get used to it, and it shows that that you put in a lot of hard work if people are following you around to games and stuff like that. So it's definitely an honor as well.
For sure. And what was that competition like? Because obviously it's different from like a regular high school athlete. There's more again the skill sets and the competition is way higher. I guess that you would play like again at an NBA top 10 or top 100 camp. Just one of your most memorable moments in high school. One of your most memorable moments on the court or in practice or something like that. Along with the
Um,
competition.
I think it was when we played Sierra Canyon and the Patrick School. Um, there I had 37 points against the Patrick School. Jonathan Kaminga, Dom Snaga from UConn. So just a couple names. Like they're a really good team, and we beat Sierra Canyon also a week before, and like Brian James was on the team, and that was my senior year of high school. So those are definitely two moments that definitely stand out to me. And basketball takes you places. So in high school, I went to Hawaii over Christmas just for a tournament. So never been to Hawaii. It was actually a really fun trip, and just to say, basketball definitely takes you places.
Yeah, again, like I said, doing research, I saw that that was one of the first times you got to travel with basketball. So that was probably a pretty cool moment for you, like you said. And you mentioned just before that Ohio State was one of like your only official visits that you went on.
Yeah.
Not a lot of offers before, but once that came in, of course, freshman year rolls around. Solid bench role for yourself. I mean, did you expect a lot of playing time coming in, or did you have any expectations once you committed?
I mean, I just told myself, just whenever you get in the game, just come in and play hard, and that still is, the what I look to every game is now. But just coming as a freshman, I just wanted to do, rebound, and it worked. I got a little bit of playing time as a freshman. I think it was like 13 or 14, maybe 12 minutes.
Mm.
But it was a start, and every year just progressed on that, and I'm at the point now, senior, which is crazy to think that I was freshman 3 years ago,
Yeah,
and senior. Time has went by extremely fast, but just right now I'm just taking it day by day because I'm old now and older, so just yeah, just day by day.
for sure. And again, that year, freshman year, second on the team in blocks. Like you played, like you said, not as much minutes as you are now, but that every year has progressed. You played all 31 games that year. Before getting into stories and all things like that throughout your career, just talk about that transition period from high school to college. Again, a Big Ten school in Ohio State. Much different from, of course, the high school level, but just something eye-opening to you that you saw in that transition period.
I mean, the speed of the game I had to get used to. Everyone was moving faster, the pace of the game, the physicality of the game. Everyone is stronger and grown men. So those are definitely the two areas. And how good of shape you need to be in to play like substantial minutes. So, just those are definitely 3 areas that definitely was an eye opener for me
Yeah.
as a freshman.
And I know that was a tough transition too from freshman to sophomore year. We'll get into that. But before that, did you have any like welcome to college basketball stories? I love asking like pro athletes this because or like a welcome to the NBA moment, something like that. Where you can think like your rookie year.
Oh, great, because my freshman year was a little bit different because we had COVID, so we wasn't able to do
Right.
um much, just like because all the regulations and stuff that was during the height.
Or like any story in general that you think of like, all right, this is way different than high school.
Um, Probably just the summer workouts, really,
Mm.
and that's every year. Like every summer, I'm like, this is hard. And I tell them like the people coming in like, look, it's gonna be hard.
Mm.
Last summer was extremely hard. So it's not like a coming to like every summer. It's just because they always like catch us off guard with something. The strength and conditioning team. This every summer is always something new that we're doing. That's hard.
Yeah, and we talked about like the off season too, from your freshman to sophomore year.
Yeah.
Your coaching staff talked with you and said the biggest thing you needed to work on was conditioning. Getting your
Yeah.
body right. And even you mentioned that you lost some weight. You felt quicker once that happened on the court. You became a consistent starter that year, your sophomore year, and again those years after that, just bigger and bigger jumps for you as a player. Again, just talk about that off season, how tough that was to get your body right, or even if it wasn't tough, just talk about what that transition period was like now the next year.
I mean, so every year I've gotten a little bit in better shape. I
Mhm.
changed my body a little bit. Freshman year, okay, I was out of shape and not the greatest of body like composition. Sophomore year, sophomore junior year, I got better, but wasn't like the greatest. I was in better shape my sophomore and junior year. Like I was able to run, but I still wasn't in the greatest of like body composition. When I had my shoulder surgery last March, it was so after I got it done, I was like, look, you just can't get fat again. Like, I'm not playing, I'm not doing anything. So I, just changed my diet and lost 25 pounds. And now I'm down at 225 or 30 pounds because I was at 255. So it definitely, if I feel better down here, it's better, running, I'm in better shape. So, it's definitely a lot better down here.
Yeah, and watching like the progression of your game again, like just doing some research, like on ESPN, the numbers going up, the minutes going up as well. Again, you mentioned in a lot of interviews that you felt quicker on the court, like you just said. And that year, you became a consistent starter. Your first ever start was against Akron. You hit that game-winning layup.
Yeah.
Back from COVID, right in front of fans, because that freshman year, like you said, there wasn't any fans because of the COVID restrictions and stuff. Akron was ranked 17th in the country at the time. Just run me through that bucket. Run me through how that confidence gave you, the motivation and the momentum to keep going that season, to keep being a consistent starter.
I mean, it was the first game, like, as I think that, yeah, you said it was my first game starting. So EJ was on the team that year, and I told him, I said, look, I'm nervous, like, like, in front of all these fans, starting, I was definitely a little nervous. He said, is it like, calm down, you're fine, you've been here before, you played basketball for a long time. And, that definitely helped. And, in that game, like I played okay that game. I was missing layups. I don't remember how many points I had, but I was missing layups around the rim. Missing easy ones. But it just shows you just to keep your head in the game and just move on because hit the game winner.
Yeah,
That was fire.
yeah, and
Yeah, I'm
you
not good with
show,
controlling my emotions. Like,
yeah.
especially when excited stuff happens. Like, I just go all out.
Mm.
I was jumping around. I pushed my teammate on the floor. Like, I was going crazy.
I was just gonna say, like, that's a big part of your game is the energy that you bring to the
Yeah.
court and like the celebrations, and we'll get into those too. I thought those were pretty signature, and I like the way that you do it almost every time after a basket, specifically like what type of basket it is. But we'll get into that. But again, that year as well, you had a career night, 20 points against Duke, shooting over 50% from the field. So again, those numbers just keep going around. Just talk about like the style of game that you bring to the court. You know what I mean? Like you love the contact, you love getting physical down low. Just what felt different in that game scoring, because that was your career night. So just run me through that game a little bit.
I mean, I guess, when as a big man, when they play one-on-one, that's great.
Mm.
You don't get doubled, you don't worry about no one steal the ball from you or trapping. So, they played one-on-one what was that, my sophomore year. And, I just got it going early. And it was just history after that. It was crazy because they were leading the whole game. They were beating us pretty bad the whole game. And,
Number one seed at the time, yeah.
yes. And then we just rallied back. And at the end, I think it was like 2 minutes left. We just took the lead and just kept it rolling from there. That I've never like felt like experienced anything like that before, just because they're the number one team. They just turned number one that year, and we beat them at home. So there's definitely a lot of energy on the court. And no, my play style, I'm going back to what you said. I'm remembering now.
Yeah,
It's obviously it's physical. I'm down in the paint. I embrace that and energy. Getting the crowd into it. When I dunk. Raise the roof. And one finger guns. Um, so yeah, that's it. It just the crowd gets into it. So every time I dunk, the whole crowd be doing raise the roof, and it's hilarious, but it's fine. That's
yeah,
so
that's pretty
so
cool. I
whenever
saw
like
that.
anybody dunks, like everyone, if you look around, everyone's doing this. Like it's actually fire. So it's I know I guess
You,
it's just energy.
yeah, you could probably say that you brought that to Ohio State. Everyone does that because of Zed. But
Yeah, even though it's an old that everyone does it, like
yeah,
everyone has done this before. It's cool to see like a whole like arena doing it like with you.
for sure. And again, your play style, you mentioned that your signature move is like a jump hook, going up with two hands, drawing that contact. Are you ever working outside? I'm sure you are, but anything in specific outside of your comfort zone that you try to work on and try to, like really hone in on in the off season besides
I
that hook?
mean,
Because obviously that's something you want to continue to perfect, but anything else outside that?
I have I work on like facing up, obviously a lot of threes, driving to the basket, just to stay versatile. That's always the main goal, obviously, just to keep working and keep expanding your game. So
For sure. And again, well, more about those celebrations. Just I want to know like the inspiration behind it. One with the raise the roof and the finger guns. Like when did you introduce that to the crowd? And when did that, kind of come about?
I mean, I was raising the roof in high school, so I was doing that. I did the finger guns. I sort of different in high school. I was more arm movement,
Mm,
but I did raise the roof in high school, and I just brought it. Like I just did this in college, and it just caught on, and now I just kept doing it because people love it. It brings energy, and it's actually fun to do when like you do it and another fan doing back with you. Like it's
mm.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So.
And then again, the numbers we talked about it a lot, how they've improved every year. Last
Mhm.
year rolls around, you become one of only four other Buckeyes in school history to start the season with three consecutive double doubles. You start shooting more, like you said in the offseason that you were trying to do. Dropped a career high again against Duke. I guess it's something against Duke that just like triggers you to drop like career highs. But those numbers keep going up against Duke, and again, your numbers go up. All this stuff. Just talk about how you feel you were able to improve. Year by year. Like how does that preparation, or do you feel like preparation changes? Year in and year out.
I mean, not really. As you like play in college, you learn obviously, what you need to do and what not to do. So as I've gotten older, you learn how to prepare for games better and stuff. So, it's just I don't know, was no, I'm joking, but with Duke, I'll be on my A game against Duke.
Mm,
So, they're and those are fun teams, obviously. Going to play in Cameron was a great experience. It's a small gym. It really feels like a high school gym. Like it has high school vibes in there. All the fans on top of you, and it gets extremely loud in there. Like, I remember last year, someone dunked, and I couldn't even hear myself think. I said, "Yeah, we need to call a timeout." I
mm.
said, "We need a timeout." I can't hear. So
Wow.
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
What's been like outside of that, like the coolest arena or like even like the biggest arena that you've played in front of where you're like, wow, this is like nothing I've ever seen before.
Coolest arena? I mean, I played at MSG last year, so I mean
Mm,
that's pretty cool. Growing up in New York, always going to watch Knicks games, just to go be able to play on the floor. That was definitely a great experience. And in Big Ten, I don't know. I hate away games. I hate playing away games.
mm,
So like Purdue is always a tough place to play at. Like always. Like they're obviously they have Zed Key, but it's just the fans, and it gets loud in there too.
mm.
Um, I don't know. Like all the Big Ten arenas are different in some way. Like it's and even all the arenas I played in, I'm gonna say Cleveland is up there. Rocket Mortgage, where we just played in. That's a nice arena.
Who's
Uh,
been like the hardest player you've had to match up against throughout your
Zach
career so far?
Zach Edey. Definitely Zach Edey, just because of his sheer like his height and his ability. Like he's a great player. Like don't get it wrong. Like people think he's just tall. No, but he could his touch around the rim. His footwork. So, it's just he's a tough player because, he's 7'6" or 7'4". So, and, he's just a dominant force.
It could be him or somebody else. Has there been a game where you can remember that like someone like cooked you real bad and you're like, damn, this is like a different like level of competition? Something that you can think of.
Cooked real bad.
And then we'll do it with the reverse. Then we'll think of something that you
Oh,
just went off or something like that.
it's happened. I know it's happened. It's just it's like it's happened. So I'm just trying to think of all the like. There's different like every team
Hmm.
they have bigs some bigs are really good. Oh, um, he used to play for Iowa. Um, Luca Garza. I think that was my freshman year. Yeah, he fried me. Yeah, it was bad. Like it was like I got him at their place at Iowa. When he came to our place, no, he was jump hooks, threes. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on right
Hmm.
now. I don't know what's going on. So it's
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm sure you
I'm
had
trying to think. Yeah.
a ton of those kind of moments. Again, that goes back, like you said, you fried him at their place, but then at your place, there's just so many
And
different.
Kobe too.
Yeah,
Like yeah, Kobe, because he was just a big body. Like he was huge and like just strong. So, definitely Kobe as well.
for sure. And again, that year specific, last year, your junior year, someone said you were playing like one of the like best big men in the Big Ten. Again, that exposure we talked about at the high school level. Now it's coming to like a more national level. You're averaging 13-8, but then that season, a shoulder injury cut that season short. Tough thing to go through at that stage when you're playing at like the highest point of your game. But how did that injury come about? How did it happen? Run me through like what happened and the recovery process after that.
It was our second Big Ten game last year, and we was playing Purdue at home, and I went up for a rebound, and I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened, but I think I was boxing on Zed Key, and somehow he hit my shoulder, and it pulled out the socket. So I knew right away. I went off the court, and I was like, "Yeah, my arm is out the socket. I can't really. I can only move it up to like halfway. Like I couldn't." So I tried to get back into play and try to foul, but I didn't want to foul. So as soon as he dunked it, I they stopped the play. I just went back and they popped it back in place. And every like once I got the MRI and they said it was like partially torn, I was like, okay, like I have a decision. Like obviously I wanted to keep playing, so I kept playing. But as the season went on, it just kept getting worse and worse. Obviously, people kept hitting it. Kept popping back out and popping back into place. So, I made the decision, just to get the surgery like early, just to get the rehab process started. Um, and it was tough, obviously, losing your left arm. Like, it just sit here in the sling. So it was tough, going to rehab, it's painful, but they had me moving it, strengthening it, I think the second day after surgery. And it's crazy because I had surgery and the team was having practice, and I woke up from surgery and was like, "Yeah, we got to go to practice." Like I told my parents because they was out here, I was like, "Look, we're going to practice. Like I got to go to practice." Like straight off of like anesthesia. I woke up and like, "Yeah, we gotta go to practice." So, they went to practice. I said, "What's up?" to everybody. The trainer was like, "What on earth are you doing here? You're
Mm.
supposed to be home." But it's just I guess I was ready to play. I don't know
Mm.
what's going on, but it was definitely tough. It was a long rehab process, 6 months. So, once I got cleared, back to work out in May, that was a good feeling. I was able to get back on the court and wasn't I was non-contact the whole summer. Like they didn't want me to re-injure it, obviously, on some workouts, on some, just shooting around or like just playing one-on-one. They didn't want me to re-injure it. But the whole summer, that's why I really lost all my weight too.
Mm.
Just going in like extra with the strength and conditioning coach and running extra. I definitely that's where all the weight came off as well. But yeah, it was a rehab process. It was long. Just looking back on it, it was definitely a long process from March to end of August. But grateful that it worked out. My shoulder feels better than ever, and there's no issues. So, just happy.
Yeah, and like we said again at the beginning, like how those numbers each year like just continue to grow. Like freshman year to sophomore year, you saw a problem, the coaching staff saw a problem, you fixed it, and those numbers keep going up. You know, your shoulder, unfortunate, turn of events, but you come back. Now that brings us to this year. You've played 16 games so far, including last night, and averaging just above like 10 points, 6 rebounds. Do you have an extra year eligibility with COVID?
I do actually. I have one more year left
So
for
do you
coach.
plan on taking it?
Yeah. No,
Nice.
I'm graduating this year. So just focusing on, finishing out this year and graduating. It's always been a dream of mine to graduate college, so you know, excited.
Yeah. And senior, I didn't know, I wasn't sure if you were going to take that year. So, just
Yeah,
a question I had for you. Yeah.
I still have it in my back pocket.
There you go.
I
That's
still
good. So
have
you
that
got one
option.
more year.
Yeah, he says hi. He was just over here bugging me.
There we go. We got that. That's one of the last questions I got. One of the most interesting players in college basketball. We'll get
Yeah.
into all those too. All the pets you got and
Hitting
everything
my
that you got.
leg. Like, he kept tapping on my leg. He wanted me to hold him. I was like,
Yeah.
look,
He hears me. He wants to get into the conversation.
right.
But yeah, so senior year this year, now knowing that you got another year eligibility, you look back at your entire career as a Buckeye, right? Just past 100 career games with the program. It's going to be tough, but what's one of your most memorable moments as a Buckeye? Could be in a game, practice, even off the court, something that you think of that really resembles your career at Ohio State.
Um, it's great. I don't think it has anything to do with the game. Um, I may have to come back to that question.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I've been here for so long.
Yeah.
that,
All right.
yeah, I'm
We'll
not.
come back to that. We'll close out with that one.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, like what question I had after that one, not knowing again the year eligibility. So obviously you're going to play again, but after that year, next year, what's your plans going forward? I don't know if you've thought that far yet. Are you preparing for, the NBA? Like what's on your mind after school's like all over?
Yeah, I'm definitely preparing for the NBA. That's the ultimate goal. That's always been my goal is definitely get to the NBA. Basketball is a lot of fun, and that's the ultimate level of basketball. So, that's definitely the goal is to go to the NBA.
Yeah, and knowing that Tobias is someone that you look up to as like a mentor, has he been, helping you now as like the final stages of your collegiate career kind of coming to an end?
I mean, yes. He's telling me what to do on the court. How to, what the college scouts are, what the college scouts are looking at. And just to play hard. That's all they want. So I guess I mean, if it's coming from him, it worked for him. So
Yeah. No, for sure. That's definitely someone cool to, look up to with all the NBA
yeah.
experience that he's had. So, but before we wrap it up with the most memorable moment, again, we go back to the first question, the first part of the introduction, the most interesting man in college basketball. Just talk about like your hobbies outside of basketball. I know that you're quite the handyman when it comes to cars.
Yeah.
Get your own pet snake, all these cool things. So just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So
He's in the corner over there. I see it.
you see him, yeah, he's right here. So I have a snake here and the cat over there looking at the wall.
I know, not to cut you off, but the 7, is that inspired by Carmelo Anthony? I just wanted to know that.
No.
Okay.
One of my friends, Ethan Letter, he said I couldn't come up with a name.
Yeah.
Like it's 7. I said, okay, that works. So and it just stuck ever since. And like it's crazy. I didn't even name the cat either. Like one of my friends named him Scat Pack, and I was like, yep, that worked. Like it'll work. Like I never can come up with a name. So but yeah, I have a lot of my hobbies is cars is definitely a big one. If you look at my page, I have a lowrider, so which is crazy to think. It's my dad has one. Always been around cars growing up, so it's always running the family. So it's definitely a hobby out here, and when you have a hobby, you meet other people with the hobbies too. So I've definitely made a lot of like great relationships out here through cars. Just going to different car shows and out here. So, we have that, my dad has his own business, putting up TVs at people's houses and home theaters and stuff. So I've put up TVs in my teammates' apartment just because I know how to do it, and they asked. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. So, it's definitely something that you don't see a lot. A lot of college athletes, people like, Zed, you got low rider, you know how to do this? I'm like, yes, like
Mm.
I have hobbies. Like, don't think like people think I get it. Like they think that's basketball. Like, no, I like to do other stuff as well, other than basketball. Like if it's just basketball, you just get tired about playing basketball. So, just you definitely, especially for me, like I'm big on, having your own time and taking time out to do your hobbies because if you're playing one thing and you just play it all the time, you're gonna get tired of it.
Yeah, and what was it like doing that Big Ten interview? Being able to kind of let the nation know like what you do outside of basketball off the court.
It was a great feeling, obviously people, I had a news article come out about it. Did a little skit, but it's definitely a good feeling, when people ask, like, Zed, you got a little rider? Is that your car guy? Like, it sparks conversation. So, it's definitely a good feeling.
Yeah, it's great. And we're coming down to the final minutes of the interview. Zed, again, I appreciate it a ton. I know like you're in the middle of the season, so taking the time, I appreciate it a ton. And I ask everybody this question at the end of every interview. But before we get into that, have you thought of a memorable moment, something that you can think of? If not, it's cool, but love to ask athletes that have had such a long journey if they have one that really sticks with them.
I'm gonna have to say it's this year. Um, when we won the championship at the Emerald Coast Classic in Florida, a couple months ago. Coming in from last year, we had a tough year last year, and obviously we're on a little like losing streak right now, but we'll bounce back from that. I'm not worried about that. But it's just to show, we had a down year last year, and for us to be able to turn around like we did and win the championship, that was definitely special for us. So, that was definitely a lot of fun to be a part.
Yeah, that's great. And again, like we talked about, there's just so many things to pick from when
Yeah.
you've been at the school for a while and playing in a conference like the Big Ten, a lot of competition we talked about and how everything is progressed for you as a player every year. So again, congratulations on such a, I would say historic career. You got one more year now after you graduate. So the $1 million question I ask everybody is, what'd you think of Camp's Corner? What'd you think of the podcast?
It was great. I had a lot of fun. It was good questions, engaging questions, and definitely like you did your research, so you knew what you're talking about. So,
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
For sure. And anytime, you know, that you want to hop back on or after the season or whatever it is, love to. I was talking to Reed too. I really want to come see you play in person.
Okay.
I think Rutgers is like the closest that you guys come to
Yeah,
us down
yeah,
here.
that's our last Big Ten game.
Yeah. So definitely at some point, definitely want to come see you play. That'd be awesome to meet you in person. So if you guys are following the Big Ten or following college basketball, definitely look up Zed. He's he's had a great career like we talked about throughout the entire interview. So just want to thank him again for hopping on episode 84 of Cam's Corner. Follow us on YouTube, all podcast platforms, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Cam's Corner.
On a break.